Welcome to another crochet tutorial with Cosy UK. Today I'm going to be showing you how to crochet the offset mesh. This is one of my favourite lacy crochet fabrics and it's incredibly easy to do, and of course it's quick. Before we get started, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you get made aware as soon as a new crochet video or pattern tutorial comes out. Let's gather the materials we need to practice the offset mesh. I'm going to be using this Paintbox Yarns 100% Cotton DK, and this shade is Tea Rose. It's a lovely dark pink. It looks almost purple. I've also got a corresponding hook size of 4mm. This is a very old hook. The paint's worn off as well. But let's gather those materials and get started. We're going to be starting by placing a slip knot onto our crochet hook. And then we are going to make our chain. So the offset mesh, you can work in a chain of multiples of 2 and then add on an extra 6 chains. So I'm going to chain 18 and then add an extra 6 to give me a total of 24. And that allows us to create our first square in our mesh, those first 6. So to create our chain, we simply bring our yarn over the hook towards us and then bring that hook through to create our chain. And I'd like you to chain 24. So that's number 1, 2, 3, 4. That is my number 24. So to start this, we're going to first create the first block of our mesh. So we're going to work in the 6th chain from the hook. So remembering that this one doesn't count, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's number 6. I'm just going to place my thumb there. And this is the offset mesh is made up of US double crochets and UK treble crochets with a chain 1 in between. So this 6 chain here gives us the 1 chain at the bottom, 1, 2, 3, that creates our turning chain, and then an extra 1 for the chain to go in between the stitches. So we yarn over the hook, and then in that 6th chain from hook we're going to place a US double crochet or a UK treble crochet. So we just yarn over, insert the hook under the chain, yarn over, bring a loop up. I'm going to rearrange mine so it looks a bit neater. So we should have 3 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through those first 2 loops, and then yarn over, pull through the last 2. So that creates our first square. We're then going to chain 1, and then we skip our next chain. So we're not going to work into this chain here. We're going to yarn over and work into the next chain and place another double crochet or a UK treble crochet. So we'll pull through 2 and pull through 2 to create another square. We chain 1 and then we skip the next chain, working into the next chain along, placing another double crochet. Put that back where it should be. And then chain 1 after we've done that double crochet. We're going to skip that next chain here and work into the next one. So we yarn over, insert our hook, pull through 2, pull through 2, and chain 1. Skip the next chain and work into the next one. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Make sure we've done that chain to create the space. We're going to skip 1 and work into the next chain. Oops. There we go. It's always a bit fiddlier when we're working into our chain. Remember to do that chain 1 in between the stitches. Skip 1 chain, work into that second one along. And we're going to just repeat that the whole way along our chain. Just making sure that we remember that chain 1 in between the stitches. Then we skip the next chain and work into the next. After that one we've skipped, oops. Place another. Make sure we do the chain 1. We've got 1, and then we're going to skip 1, work into the next. Oops, I missed there. There we go. That's what we want. Oh, dropped it. Let's start that one again. Because I'm working through the camera, I'm sure that's why. It's nothing to do with anything else, is it? Always remember that chain 1 in between. So I'm going to skip 1, work into 1, and then you should have 1 chain, 1 space left, or 1 chain left. And we're not going to do a chain 1 after this one, because this will help give us really nice edges to the project. We're just going to work into that last remaining chain. So after you've got 1 chain left, you don't do a chain 1 in between. We're not putting a space in between these stitches. We're just working it right into that last chain. So now we should have, if you can see that very well, it looks a bit wibbly, it'll be fine. You've got the first block that you made, which includes your chain 1, then we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 chain spaces, and then we don't have a chain space in between those last 2. Going into row 2, we start by doing a turning chain of 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now the 3 is our turning chain for our treble crochet, and then the extra one to do the 4th chain is of course the space or the chain we need to skip over that first stitch, and then we can work right into that chain space. So this chain 4 counts as our double crochet and our chain 1, or in UK terms treble crochet and chain 1. So this time we're going to yarn over and insert our hook into that first chain space, yarn over, bring a loop up, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then chain 1. And we're going to work into each space along, repeating the double crochet, chain 1, or UK treble crochet and chain 1. So each time you've completed your skip, you're chaining 1 to work across the top of that one, and then yarn over and insert your hook into that chain space. Chain 1 in between, remember, and then work into that chain space again, placing another US double crochet or UK treble crochet. So the chain 1 in between those stitches is what helps create that lovely square mesh look. Gives it a real lacy look. The standard mesh is slightly different. It's exactly the same in the fact that you have chain 1s and double crochets, just that you would work on top of the stitches and then the chain 1s are all lined up. So it's offset because we're working into the chain spaces and not into the stitches. If you're using a DK weight cotton, you'll see that it's quite a drapey fabric, or in other words, it's a bit flimsy and quite difficult to work in when it's this small, but it does get easier the bigger it gets. So I've reached my last chain space, and in this one, I'm going to work into the last chain space, and so we can mirror the end of the last row. Instead of doing that chain 1, we're going to work into the top of that chain, the third chain from the end. Well, in this case, it's going to be the fourth. So 1, 2, 3. Let's move that along. And we're going to work into that fourth chain. Try and get your hook through 2 parts of the chain. Move it around if you need to. Just gives it a neater finish. Nope, still missed. Oh, there we go. There it is. Oh no, I still can't get it. I'll get it off camera. Hang on. Did it. There we go. So make sure you're grabbing 2 loops of your turning chain. There we go. And that just matches up the ends of your rows. So at this, on the first row, we had these 2 together at the end. We've got 2 together at this end as well. So that's the end of row 2. And you should still have 10 chain spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So going into row 3, again you chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that allows us to skip over that first stitch and work straight into that chain space there. And we're just going to repeat the pattern of placing 1 double crochet and a chain 1 into each chain space along. And then at the end, we just work into the last chain space, no chain 1, and work into the top of the turning chain. Well, the third chain, not the fourth, because that works as our spacer. Make sure you do that chain 1. I nearly forgot. There we go. This helps because it keeps your chain spaces even on each row, and it gives you a nice neat edge as well, because you're working into the top of that chain, the third chain from third of your turning chain. It means that you get a nice straight edge. So I've reached my last chain space. I'm going to yarn over, place my double crochet into that last space, and then I'm not going to chain 1. I'm going to count and find my third chain and work 1 double crochet into that third chain to end the row to help balance out the squares. As this fabric gets bigger, and obviously if you're making a larger size, it becomes nice and even. This is a pattern that would definitely benefit from a little bit of a light blocking to help really make that offset mesh show really nicely. You can keep repeating row 2 for as many rows as you'd like to create a longer lacy fabric as well. And if you'd like to check out how to make a headband featuring this lovely offset mesh, I'll pop the link in the description box for you as well. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed this offset mesh tutorial. Of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and of course the notification bell so that you never miss out on another one of my crochet tutorials again.